everyone. I'm Chanel. Welcome to Chanel's Reality. Again, I'm Chanel, and this is my reality. So, listen, I wanted to come to you guys and talk to you guys today about people that I feel could be on Diddy's hit list of celebrities. People that he may have, what's the right word? He may have on videotape at one of his white parties, whether it was in the Hamptons or the New York, I don't know, Miami, where he had his estates. And by the way, you should watch my video where we kind of expose that Diddy didn't own like that property on Star Island that he had on Star Island in Miami. He doesn't own that property. It's so weird. But it probably has something to do with why that property could be sold, even though he's under investigation. Because usually a lot of times they will stop all of that stuff. Let me just say first and foremost, everything on Chanel's Reality is, in my opinion, and it is for entertainment purposes only. Let me see. Oh, I put my little disclaimer down there. Copyright disclaimer, okay? Because she's not trying to get sued. She's not built for prison. I don't know. Diddy might like it in there because, they say on those videotapes, or at least I won't even say on the videotapes. I will say in those lawsuits. Listen, today's YouTube video is brought to you by, not improper. Let me stop. She's not there yet. She doesn't have those type of ads. But these little things, they are dangerous. Child. Okay, that's not what this is about. Okay, let me focus. So I wanted to play a few videos that I found very interesting. The first one I believe is on, what is it on? It is on News Nation, which is like another new online news outlet. I'm trying to see where my other banners are. Listen, I got all the smoke. Okay, so watch your mouth. Just fair warning. And I want to give out a what is this one? Why won't this one show? That's so weird. Am I crazy? It's showing the wrong one. Oh, okay. So the trigger warning. I just want to make sure everybody knows we're talking about a sensitive topic. It has to do with victims of sexual violence, trafficking, sexual assault, things of that nature. I want to put on as a ticker at the bottom too. If you are being trafficked, or you think you're being trafficked, or you know of someone that's being trafficked, do I have that part in here? I feel like I put it in one of my little ticker things at the bottom, but is this it? Yeah. So you can dial 988 and that's from any phone. If you feeling depressed, if you feel like, you may not want to be here anymore, if you've been sexually assaulted, I like to call it sexual assault. YouTube will probably flag my video or take it down or unmonetize it, whatever it is, demonetize, because they don't want you to say real words. And that's a real word. Now, they may have some sort of legal ramification for why they don't want to say words like sexual assault, sex trafficking, things of that nature. I just like to give it what it is. I just like to keep it a book. And for me, it is, we should also change that domestic violence, if you really ask me, because it's like, it's making it seem as though that's those people's problem. The people with domestic violence. That's something that they need to deal with at home, right? And it isn't. It's assault. If you and your husband if you were at the PF Chang's, the local PF Chang's, right? And he came in, you wouldn't have to be there. You could be at the local McDonald's. Everybody knows where McDonald's or Chick-fil-A, right? And he walks in and he decides he wants to punch you in your face, they're going to call the police, and they're not going to say there's a domestic violence. They're going to say a man walked in here and assaulted another woman. So let's just call it what it is. Let's not call it domestic violence. Let's call it assault against women or assault against another intimate partner or whatever. But it is assault. Stop making up special words for it. Now, I'm not saying it shouldn't have its own category, but when you say domestic violence, in my opinion, it's like a dog whistle to people who are desensitized by violence against women anyway, who won't believe the woman or the victim anyway. It gives them another reason to say that's them and those people's problems. And to me, no, it's a societal human problem. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about Diddy's hit list and the people that I think might be on his hit list. So you can see on my little virtual, what do you call it? What is that thing called? Background is what I'll call it. A lot of people on this list, and listen, this isn't even the big list. These are just people that you guys probably know. So I have on here Jay-Z. He's a alleged billionaire. I mean, Beyonce say there's $1 billion on the LA, so we're just gonna go with what Bay said. I don't know Bay. We're gonna go with what Bay said. Also, Prince Harry. Now, I don't know. I think Prince Harry been to a white party. That's what I think I saw. Now, y'all could tell me in the comments if I didn't see that, but I thought he was at a white party. And let me be very clear. Just because you attend a white party or Diddy's white party, that doesn't mean that you participated in the after hours activities. But I don't believe that these activities were after hours. I believe these activities are exactly what Cat Williams said. Let me find that little, hold on, wait. I have to find this. Cat Williams, I was watching it the other day. It was so funny. When he was talking about drugs in Hollywood. That's another word we're not supposed to use. But here I am. I wish I would have had this already up for you guys. Because that one, let me see if I can share my screen for that one. Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. Okay, I think I can do it. Hold on. Let's see. So let me try and share my screen. Let me see if I can get to the Cat Williams. Because listen, we should start off with something fun and this crazy world of Diddy and his shenanigans. All right.
These of you in the ATL and a nigga doing drugs in the ATL, the nigga at least excuse himself, go to the bathroom or some shit. Niggas in Hollywood just do the drugs right in front of you and act like ain't shit happened. You in the middle of a goddamn meeting. Yeah, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the movie with you, and then we're gonna go back. Nigga, did you know that I can see you? Nigga, you right there. It's on your nose, nigga. What? Motherfuckers be gay in Hollywood, you never fucking expect it. They be having these big ass mansion parties, and the mansion party, the whole mansion is a party, and then it's a separate party in the little rooms. I ain't been famous that goddamn long. I'm excited than a motherfucker to be at the mansion party. You be looking in all the goddamn rooms, and you fuck around and look in the wrong room and shit. Nigga, come here, come here. Is that two niggas kissing? Is one of them niggas Professor Obi? He came out the closet, he came out the closet. Oh my God, a rubber.
Okay, enough with that, because I'm with the shits. I'm with the shits, man. So, pow. Okay. I know I'm not supposed to be smacking, but here we are. She doesn't change for other people. Well, I try. I'm typically unsuccessful though. Okay, so let's get down to the business. Let me share my screen with you. Hang on 1 second. And so we'll see if a little bit of my hit list aligns up with these other people's hit lists. Hold please. Let me get the hit list together.
And those statements include descriptions of what the witness says he saw on those tapes. So I asked him about that, and he answered what he could, given the limitations imposed on him after testifying before the grand jury. Out of those 8 videos, 8 celebrities, 6 men and 2 women, how many of those 8 celebrities were close to being underage or potentially underage?
2 males.
2 males. And of those 8 celebrities, how many of them were intoxicated or under the influence of drugs?
This is going to be all speculation. I just want to preface it by he wouldn't know if they were. Right.
Sure.
Appeared.
Okay. So this lady, she's questionable to me. She's a whole ass attorney. But she's a bit questionable to me. And the reason I say that, there's a video out there. I did a video on it too, where even on Piers Morgan, if you watch the Piers Morgan where he interviewed like Jaguar, right? She was on, I think after that one guy, DJ Ballard or whatever his name, I don't like him. I think he's a culture vulture. But I have a video on there where she basically said, and she said this before this, because I feel like even before that, she said it on like CNN or something like that. She was like, I've seen video steals. So basically like someone playing a video and then like pausing it and taking a photo. And she said, I think she was one of the first lawyers to say she saw something like that, and it was a well-known celebrity. She said it was someone that she felt like was even more A-list, I guess you could say, than P. Diddy, which of course then everybody, every content creator on planet Earth and news outlet honed in and was like, whoop. And I just thought, okay, that's interesting. But what was more interesting to me, and I listen, I don't have a law degree. I do have 3 college degrees, but I don't have a law degree. And so I'm not here to profess that I understand the law, but in my mind, my common sense says that if you saw a video where someone appeared to be under the influence, not having all their faculties, and there's some sort of sex situation happening, and the other people maybe possibly in the video are not under the influence, or even if they are, but if someone is under the influence and if someone is underage, they cannot consent. If you own handlebars or whatever the street name is for the drugs, whatever it is you own, oxycontin, whatever, you can't then give consent to any type of sexual or whatever. And if you're underage, you can't give consent. So that was my first ding, ding, ding. It's like, who are your clients? And then why would you be sharing the information that your clients have this video? And then she said, and not in this order, and I'm paraphrasing, but then she said something like, well, we're in like talks with, I feel like she said some celebrities to see if they basically want to buy this, like a catch, what does she call it? A catch and grab or catch and kill? I think catch and kill is the term, where you have some information that's salacious about someone and you basically are calling them to say, hey, we have some salacious information about you that could be threatening to your career, your reputation, your enterprise, whatever it is. Do you want to buy it? And I've heard of people come out and say, well, that's extortion. Well, to me, it definitely sounds like extortion to me. Having someone's information and then saying that could be detrimental to them or career ending, or like I said, ruin your reputation. To me, that sounds like extortion or bribery to say, I have this, you can buy it from me. On one hand. On the other hand, it sounds like, isn't that what Star Magazine, The Inquirer, all of those magazines were doing for years for people like Donald Trump and others, many of them? They've been doing that for years. They've been saying for years, hey, we have this information. It's exactly what TMZ does. If you ask me, we have this information and we're going to put it out. Now, the difference between that and journalism is you could get some information, you could validate some information, but then the journalist is supposed to, or the journalistic practice, wherever it is that they're journalizing, they're supposed to then call whoever it is that they have this breaking news on and say, hey, listen, we found out this information, we validated it or verified it, and now we're going to run the story. We ain't paying you, okay? We're not paying you, but we would like to get your side of the story, because that's what you're supposed to do if you're a credible news enterprise of any sort. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to verify the information, and you're supposed to give that person time to say, hey, no, that ain't it. Or their lawyer time to say, no, you can't answer these, whatever it is. So again, I'm a little bit confused with her, because I'm like, it sounds like you're in a scheme that Tony set up. No, let me stop. That's from Atlanta Housewives. But it sounds like you're in an extortion scheme. And I can't understand for the life of me how she could come on TV, on CNN or other platforms like Piers Morgan, and say, I'm in contact with a group of individuals or an individual that has access to a tape, some sort of audio visual communication that shows celebrities in a compromising sexual manner. And I'm in talks with, putting them in talks with someone who could help them sell it. Basically, I'm gonna put you in contact with the person that has the tape, that has possession of it, and they're going to show it to you, and then you can pay for it. I don't understand. That just seems to me that just, like I said, I'm intelligent and I have college degrees, but I don't see how that would not be considered extortion. And I believe extortion is illegal. So that's why I'm like confused about her. But, you know, listen, every state has a different bar, I would assume, because not every state requires you to pass the bar. Based on what I saw, or no, let me say it like this. Not every state requires that you go to college. So y'all know who Kim Kardashian is, right? She is over there trying to get a whole law degree in California. So, but she said on Keeping Up with the Kardashians that she doesn't have to go to college. She doesn't have to have a law degree. She could basically go and study under like an apprenticeship type of thing, and then go take the baby bar and pass it, and then take the other bar. And then as long as she passes, she passes. That's the only state that I know of that allegedly does that. But again, maybe it's different in each state, but I just feel like she put herself in a situation where she basically is saying, I have someone, which now I guess her client is this guy right here that looks like the guy from the Tyler Perry show. And I never watched that show, by the way, but the one with the little jumpsuit or whatever. Yeah, him. He's saying that he's in possession of a whole bunch of tapes or videos and or Kim Porter's like alleged diary. That's what he says. So that's my little take on her. So I don't know if I believe her, but in case you haven't been watching, you know, the things that are going on with P. Diddy, I just wanted to catch y'all guys up on that. So hold on one second. Let me get back to it. 1 second.
Let me rephrase it.
Based on, yes.
Understand. Out of the 8 celebrities who were recorded having intimate relations with Sean Combs, how many of them appear to be either inebriated or intoxicated or under the influence?
All of them. All of them.
Out of those 8, how many appear to be potentially victimized? How many might have been victimizing?
I think all, to be honest, all.
Were victims
They
or
victims.
were perpetrating?
Victims.
They were all 8 were victimized.
Yeah.
Meaning
Victim.
this was happening to them and they were inebriated.
Right. Not knowing, I guess, how much proof it was in it, what they was doing.
And of those 8, how many seemed to be potentially minors?
2 to 3, possibly 3.
Whoa. Okay, what's happening? Hold on. Okay, let me get out of this one. Okay. Okay, let me share my screen again. I have another video. I don't know if you guys have seen. Is it this one? Yeah, I think it's this one. For those of you guys that are just tuning in, I'm Chanel, and this is my reality. Please hit the like button. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And if you like the content that you are consuming right now, hit that like button and subscribe and hit the notification button. It's hitting my buttons is a free and easy way to support my channel. So here we go.
This week when 54-year-old Sean Diddy Combs was arrested on September 15th. He now faces some pretty serious federal charges: racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Diddy was indicted by a federal grand jury and is now being held in Brooklyn at the Metropolitan Detention Center after he was twice denied bail. Diddy's attorneys say he was in New York for about a week before the arrest, anticipating the federal indictment. But he wasn't the only one who kind of saw this coming. After federal investigators raided 2 of Diddy's homes back in March, we kind of had an idea something was on the way. Just this week, we learned some of the items that investigators collected during those raids of Diddy's homes in both Miami and Los Angeles. According to the indictment against Diddy, Investigators seized more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricants from his homes. The court doc states that these items were used in something referred to as freak-offs, which were elaborate and produced sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, masturbated during, and often electronically recorded. According to prosecutors, Diddy and his associates transported commercial sex workers over state lines and even internationally. Diddy then allegedly gave these sex workers and victims controlled substances, at times unbeknownst to the victims. Prosecutors say Diddy did this to keep the victims obedient and compliant. He then took videos of victims having sex with these sex workers, sometimes without their consent. After all this, both Diddy and the victims would receive IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drug use. Federal investigators say that during the raids of Diddy's homes, they collected some of these recordings showing the disturbing details of these freak-offs. And the feds had a heads up about these recordings, thanks to some of the civil lawsuits filed against Diddy, namely the one brought by Rodney Jones, also known as the producer Lil Rod. Lil Rod worked with Diddy on his Love album starting in 2022 and says he experienced months of abuse all at the hands of Diddy. In his lengthy civil suit, Lil Rod refers to these recordings saying, quote, Mr. Combs required Mr. Jones, that's Lil Rod, to record him constantly. Mr. Jones has secured hundreds of hours of footage and audio recordings of Mr. Combs, his staff, and his guests engaging in some serious illegal activity. Lil Rod's lawsuit also lays out some...
So you have to know that P. Diddy, if what Mr. Lil Rod is saying is true, which I believe all of it, but listen, I wasn't there, so I don't know. It's all alleged. But based on what Lil Rod said in his lawsuit, you have to know that Diddy had to have been outside of his own mind. He's really just sick, in which both things could be true, and I kind of think both of them are true, but I think one, he's outside of his own mind. And I also think he's an extreme narcissist, because what person who's engaging in all of this alleged illegal trafficking of people, sex trafficking, human trafficking, and just be clear, sex trafficking is a subsidiary of or a type of human trafficking. It's still trafficking. Human trafficking is worse. Well, I don't want to say one is worse. I'll say one is more prevalent, meaning human trafficking, which is usually unpaid labor, as opposed to sex trafficking. And it's egregious, and it's going on right here in the good United States of America. Please don't be fooled. It's going on right there. And I've done many college papers and research papers on this, so I know what I'm talking about. But I think that you have to be really egregious, because most of the people that are doing these types of things, like human trafficking or sex trafficking, or words like rape, molestation, all of these things, sexual assault, usually are not done out in the open. That's why when I was playing the Cat Williams thing, and we were kind of like laughing about how Cat Williams is exposing them way back when, saying that you go to these Hollywood parties and they just do the drugs right in front of you. And he's talking about like you're saying whatever in a meeting, and then he just sniffs whatever. And Cat Williams is like, do you know I can see you? It's on your nose. And that's what I'm saying about the narcissism. A narcissist, it wouldn't occur to them that this is probably not something I should do in public. Once you get to a certain step, at first, a lot of narcissists they have it's like a sociopathic, extroverted face that they give that they give people outside. So that's why, and then they terrorize the people on the inside, like the girlfriends, the mamas, the sisters, the ex-girlfriends, the wife that don't know that she is two other wives and all that. That's what sociopaths and narcissists do. They terrorize the people in the relationship. Everybody thinks that they're great except for the people in the relationship, because they couldn't fathom, it wouldn't occur to them that this is how you're treating them could be bad. The expectations you have for them are bad, which is why when you think about what Diddy is being accused of is bad, he's basically being accused of, I can't get you to have sex with me, or maybe I could pay for you to have sex with me, but let me be very clear. Sexual assault has nothing to do with sex. It has everything to do with power and control. So if someone feels like they can't have power and control over you in the traditional sense, and they are not going to feel like they have power and control over you in a, let's say, sex worker sense, because You are having to pay them. You don't feel like you have that power. You're not forcing them. You're asking them, hey, can you come do X? And you get paid X, right? So that's why when people say, well, why there's a million people out here that would probably do it for free or do it if he paid them. That's why he didn't do it that way. Yeah, he had some sex workers there, but the people that he's forcing to do it, the people that he's putting them in these compromising situations, that's why they're under the influence, right? They don't have their faculties about them anymore. They don't have the ability to say no or run away. A lot of the people, if you read any of those lawsuits, even if you go look 6 pages in, you get a really good big clear picture that people would come and they would be basically bombarded with, you need to drink something, take a shot, like that type of thing. And they take one little sip and they're like, whoa, something is different. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even a drinker. But when you drink, typically, yeah, if you're feeling quote unquote buzz, you might feel like, oh, something, I'm a little slow. Like I'm calmed down. That's why a lot of people drink, because they want to relax. Their nerves is bad. Okay. That's just my opinion. I don't think that's why everybody drinks, but there it is. That's how I feel about it in general. But these people that, even if you're drinking normally, these people are in the lawsuit saying, no, this is not, we had a shot at the local Papados or Chili's or whatever it is where you are. No, something happened immediately after they had me take a shot. Immediately, I felt out of control, you know? And I think with Diddy, that's part of the reason he was able to get away with it for so long, because he didn't start out rich. He didn't start out this quote unquote mogul. He started out as an intern at, I think it's called Uptown Records or something like that. He and Al Shore are the only 2 living people from that record label. So that should tell you something, right? This man keeps coming up. People keep coming up missing around him, and they all seem to pass away in some just really absurd, imaginary aneurysm, heart attack. It's not. I think Diddy learned his lesson with that Sean situation. Remember when that rapper Sean, that's like a Belizean like politician now or something? The guy, he was a rapper. I think he was like 18 or 19 years old. And this was years ago. But anyway, they were in some club and this is when he was dating J-Lo. And they were in that club. And from what one of the victims said, somebody bumped into Diddy or Diddy bumped into somebody. They didn't take it the right way. Whatever it was, Diddy seems to be a narcissist. So I'm sure he probably hyped it up and made it 100 times worse. Plus he with his security. So what you going to do now? Kind of like the kids that was trying to jump what is his name? Ray J the other day. I'm not even gonna go down there. That's another video for another day. But you got all this, you big and bad, with your security. Just saying. So anyway, I feel like Diddy, even before that, he had a whole brush with the law with Tupac and with Notorious B.I.G. Because if you ask me, those people's deaths were planned and orchestrated by somebody like Diddy. That's just my opinion. That's my opinion. I don't know. I wasn't there. And again, everything on Chanel's reality is, in my opinion, it is alleged and it is for entertainment purposes only. But so to me, I feel like he kind of was getting his feet wet, but he was drunk with, I got power now. I got money now, because Notorious B.I.G. is one of the biggest rappers on the planet. One More Chance and all the hits that he had, right? More Money, More Problems, but he was gone by then. But it's really sinister if you think about it. If Diddy did have something to do with B.I.G., Notorious B.I.G.'s death, or Big Papa, it's real sinister, because Rolling Stone wanted to put B.I.G. on the cover of Rolling Stone, which would have been major, right? They wanted to put B.I.G. on, Notorious B.I.G. on there. But Diddy was like, nah. He called him up like, nah, I'm a living legend. He dead. Allegedly. He dead, put me on the cover. That's what happened. Diddy was on the cover. But see, what's even more sinister is he made that song, Missing You, dancing all across I don't know if it was the Grammys or the BET Awards, wherever the hell he was, dancing across the stage. And that was one of my favorite songs. But what's even more sinister, you're dancing across this stage as if you had nothing to do with this man's unaliving. And I believe you had everything to do with it, personally. So then you decide to have his wife or his baby mama sing the hook to Missing You. That's what I call sinister. That is a next level evil. So to me, you get away with these 2 people's unaliving. You get away with nothing happening to you when you allegedly shot this lady in the face. According to her, she was like, I still got the bullet fragments. I'm willing to let the doctors go back in. I'm willing to die. Go ahead and take these bullet fragments so we can prove that this man did it so he can go to jail. Thankfully, she don't have to do that no more because he's in jail. He ain't in jail for that, but he is in jail. So, because he's a menace to society. But anyway, this is why I think Diddy got away with it for 30 years. Because within his first really 6 years of being an up and coming producer and owning Bad Boy and all of this, he's already streetwise, from what I believe is true. You already got 2 people that you've unalived that were superstars. Tupac and B.I.G. They gone. Now, like I said, the only 2 people left at Uptown Records is Diddy from Uptown Records, is Diddy. And I'll be sure. And I'll be sure almost died. Be clear. So it's like, I think when he's gotten away with so much power and influence, and it just appears that his star is rising and rising and rising and rising and rising. And when you think about it, if you really think about it, Diddy, even before he got arrested, he was not making money in the ways that we think he was making money, in my opinion. First of all, I think he was, that's why they got him. I feel like they're going to get him on racketeering, because I think the clothing line, Sean John, put in the chat if you got some Sean John. I don't know nobody with Sean John. I don't know nobody that wears Sean John, poor or rich. And I know both. I don't know neither that do that. So where is it even sold? Who is buying all the Sean John? I ain't never been anywhere other than a club and saw Ciroc, and I still never heard nobody ordering it. So again, where is he making all this money? And I think it's laundering. I think he was laundering money, but that's just my opinion. Just my opinion. Not saying it's true, because I don't know. I wasn't there. But y'all tell me where he getting all this money from. Diddy wasn't producing anything. He was getting money by lending his name out. So when he got the Ciroc deal, it's not like Diddy was somewhere in some lab making Ciroc and came up with it because he's just a liquor connoisseur. No, that's not what he was doing. And if we're keeping it a buck, that's not what most of these people are doing, which is why I don't respect it, which is why I don't typically buy anything sold by a celebrity. Unless it's really good, then I will buy it. I'll give it a chance because I like to, support people. But Diddy ain't make Ciroc. They made a brand called Ciroc, and then they said, hey, we want you to make it sexy. We want you to put all your people. We want you to go and sell it to the poor people. Be clear. Like all the other liquor stores that they have in poor communities, black, white, and otherwise. You notice if you go to River Oaks, they ain't a liquor store. And River Oaks is the place in Houston where it's like a lot of studied people. They don't have liquor stores on every other block. And Memorial is another wealthy area of Houston. No, you know what they have? Whole Foods. I'm keeping it a buck with y'all. That's what they have. They have Whole Foods. And I don't live in the ghetto. But it still takes me about 20 minutes to get to any Whole Foods. So all of this type of stuff is on purpose. But anyway, back to Diddy. I think that Diddy is going to, I think if he gets convicted, it is going to be on racketeering. It is going to be racketeering, and at the least he'll get the trafficking, because that they can prove. Both of those they can prove, in my opinion. But let's go down the name of the lawsuits, because the people that I feel are people who really could rock the boat, and really expose Diddy. I find it very interesting that all of Hollywood, the whole entertainment industry is on mute. They all on mute. They don't have nothing to say. Nobody has anything to say. Nobody knows nothing. But I find it very interesting, and I like J-Lo. I like women that are a threat, triple threat. I'm smart. I'm pretty. I'm sexy, and I'm talented. You can't beat that, not even with a stick, right? So, but I have a problem with so somebody got shot in the club. Shine taking the fall. This is another sinister thing that Diddy did. You convinced Shine to take the fall, and you swear to him you're going to give him these millions of dollars, and he got to have a heart and thug it out. And then you went and got people to lie and say that they saw this man shoot people in a club. It was a lie. That's sinister. How do you make your artist go and do that? That's sinister. It's one thing to say, can you take the tip from me? Because, and I got you, we about to make these millions, but I can't have this case. That's one thing right there. And I still ain't doing, I ain't going to jump for nobody. Be very clear. Whatever I got to give up, whatever, it don't even matter. You can have everything I own and then some. I ain't going to jail. But it's one thing to say, okay, I'm gonna take care of you when you get out of jail. I got you on commissary. I'm gonna take care of your family, all this, that, and the third. That's one thing. I ain't made like that. I ain't built like that. So it wouldn't be me. I wouldn't be able to say yes. But I'm sure there are people out there that would. But this is the problem that I have with it. It isn't that he asked them to do it. It's that you ask him and then you go and get people to lie and help the prosecution convict him of some shit he didn't do. Like, it's just like, are you kidding me? But that's the world we live in. That's sinister. And that's why I'm not shocked with all the lawsuits. It's why I believe all victims. And then people can say all they want to. Oh, well, we don't know if they telling the truth or if they lying. Why don't people say we don't know if the perpetrator is telling the truth or if they're lying? They never say that. You know what they say about the perpetrators? I gotta wait and see. Everybody deserves their day in court, and they do. But that's how you know people. Those are the same people that will know that Uncle so and so is, or brother so and so from the church is molesting the daughter or your cousin or you, and still act like no, we can't say. They still inviting this ninja to the cookout. How come he get to be at the cookout? Just keep your kids away. No, that ninja needs to be in jail. Why do I have to keep my child? Why do I have to do anything for my child to protect them from someone that's in their family or at the church or the school teacher or any of that? That should, we have it backwards. Should be the other way around. What are you doing? But that's the world that we live in, because we would rather say that it's about taking a black man down or taking any man down or hip hop or whatever. It's not about none of that. It's about taking a savage down. Someone that cares not about you. And this is the thing that really is incredible. This man don't even know you, and you going 10 toes down for him. He don't even know you. He don't know you exist. And you over here, he might not have done it. Okay, girl. Would you be saying that if your daughter told you? What about if your wife told you? What about your baby mama? What about your sister, your granny, whomever it is that he decided he wanted to, destroy their life today? Keep him on a leash because he got him in a compromised situation. You good on that? That's the reason I feel like Hollywood is quiet. But I do think it's interesting that J-Lo wasn't charged with a weapons, nothing, when that Sean situation happened. How is that? That happened? They found a firearm in the car y'all were in after y'all fled a nightclub shooting. How is no one charged with anything except for Sean? How? It's a setup. Of course, that's how. And I'm not even talking about from like some of those people be out there like Illuminati did it. Look, I don't know. I wasn't there. I ain't a part of the Illuminati. Or people that it's what are they, conspiracy theories. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying after so many things happen, you have to sit back and say, everybody ain't making this shit up. Everybody ain't wrong. We're not all crazy. Something more sinister is going on. And like I said, there are people, in my opinion, that have a whole lot to lose, that Diddy might give them up. I think Usher is one, because we all know he gave poor little Justin Bieber to Diddy after he said he wouldn't send his kids over there on Howard Stern. That's what he said. We got Jay-Z who swear he a whole ass mogul. He married to Beyonce. She's America's princess. She's an international princess. She got the people in the beehive coming for everybody. They were in poor little Carrie Hilson. Listen, Carrie Hilson was like, I can't go on social media no more because the beehive terrorizing people. Anyway, who are some other people that might be compromised? Ray J. Wasn't they trying to jump Ray J? I can't. And I don't laugh at violence, but I can't. Who? Oprah. They say Oprah is somewhere on the tape. I don't believe that. That's one of those people you're gonna have to show me that she on the tape for me to believe it. You just have to show me. I do believe it's possible Tyler Perry is on there. Because nothing, listen, live your best life. If you're gay, you're not gay. If you're non-binary, whatever it is, that's your choice. That's how you were born. I'm not here to judge you. Do whatever it is that you do. I just call them alphabet people because I can't keep up with all the alphabet. It's LGBT. That's as far as I can go with the alphabet. So I don't know. But all of the people in the alphabet, like, to me, Tyler Perry just never gave me. Just tell me a time where you felt like Tyler Perry didn't give you gay vibes. And like I said, no shade to the gay people, but it just, so that's why I think he might be on one of them compromising tapes. Plus, this one guy, I watched this video, sidebar. I watched this one video, and this one guy was like saying that he claimed Tyler Perry basically, I guess he was trying to get on a show or a movie or something Tyler Perry was doing, because he's a big deal in the movie world. Most actors can't say that they have their own movie studio and all that kind of stuff. So he's a big deal. I'm not going to take that from him, but some man said that I don't know if he was auditioning for a movie or a part on a TV show that Tyler Perry had. And he basically said Tyler Perry was like, you need to take off your clothes and show me, whatever. And I don't think he was willing to do it or something. And that's kind of adjacent to the Abercrombie and Finch people. But except with the Abercrombie and Finch people, they was like legit raping people. Allegedly. I believe it. I believe all victims. So it ain't changing over here. But so I think Tyler Perry could be on there. I think that young Miami lady. I think, Kim Porter, I feel like she's already exposed him. I feel like Kim exposed him from the grave. I don't know if y'all watch Sloan Bella, but listen, to me, she spoke to Sloan Bella from the grave, honey. She was like, something is gonna happen in November. And that's when Cassie dropped her lawsuit. Everything since then has not been great for Diddy. Then she said, I think Sloan Bella said something like, oh, no, we're not done. That's what I guess Kim Porter was like channeling to her to say. And she said something else is coming up around Easter in March. That's when they raided his homes. All I'm saying, she 2 for 2. She said Jay-Z may not be next, but he's coming up. Him and Beyonce allegedly are both going to be taken down. And they're going to lose public favor. And it's very difficult for me to believe that Beyonce, like I could believe Jay-Z. He shot his own brother. Be clear. He went to jail. There's a mugshot. And he allegedly stabbed that man in the club too. Just saying. There's mugshots of these things. So Jay-Z, Beyonce, and Diddy all are like this. They seem to be very tight. I hate to put Beyonce in it because she's from my city. And, we put on for our city. She clearly is very talented. She's beautiful. She's snatched. She can sing right. But she's attached to Jay-Z. I'm not saying she's guilty of anything because I don't know. But I do think that, listen, I've been married for 20 years. I ain't married to Jay-Z, but I've been married for 20 years. If your husband doing something. And I don't mean like he has to be cheating on you or nothing like that. But I'll say it like this, when your partner is changing their habits. They suddenly not answering the phone, or maybe they taking more showers than normal. Just saying. And I think with someone like Beyonce, most Hollywood, relationships don't last very long because everybody's a star. And they have a packed schedule. So how can you really have time together? And if, let's say, there's a scenario where you're not a star, then the non-star probably has a problem at some point, and they're probably going to resent you at some point. Even your children will resent you. I remember years ago, there was this famous basketball player, Drexler. I feel like Clyde Drexler. I believe he played for the Rockets. And I was a kid. I was probably like 13 or 14, and we went to like Funplex or some like place like that. And I remember I looked up and I was like, oh. And so, because you have like this crowd of people, and they're like, oh my God, basketball player. And I remember his little girl at the time. She was so cute and adorable. She couldn't have been more than 6. And she was like, no, leave my daddy alone. And that's probably the first time I experienced like, so the kids don't get it. They feel like they have to share their dad with everybody. You know what I mean? So I just feel like, even if that's why I say even your kids could be mad at you and jealous, because that's why it's difficult for it to work. And even if you are Beyonce and Jay-Z and you're both powerhouse people in terms of celebrity and wealth and all that influence, even if you're that, then that means you're probably very busy, both of you separately. And if that's the case, it's going to put a strain on the relationship. I don't care how strong your bond is. But I find it's hard for me to believe that they're going to be able to take Beyonce down, because I'm like, how do they tie anything he's doing to her? Unless he has a trafficking ring as well. And I could say it this way. This is the only way I could probably maybe see it, is if like Jay-Z did similar things to that Diddy has done, which if you ask Jaguar Wright, he done everything that Diddy's done and he worse. But let's say he was doing those things and he had a trafficking ring, and the feds have Beyonce on one of those tapes doing it, or two of those tapes, and they're going to expose her, kind of like Diddy got exposed with that tape. Remember, he was like, I never did it. They lying. Enough is enough. And Cassie lying. And they just looking for a quick payday. Shut up. I can't with all of the people. They just look for a payday. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Because if everybody that's getting beat up and mistreated by their boyfriend or husband or baby daddy or whatever is just want a payday, how the fuck do you explain all the women that's in the hood that ain't got shit to look forward to? Ain't no payday coming. How do you explain them? How do you explain them going to the police 100 times, calling the police because they getting beat on and whatever else? Shut the fuck up. Like, just please use your brain. On Chanel's reality, we use both sides of our brains over here. It ain't changing. Power and control, and especially when it regarding sex and abusive relationships, has nothing to do with sex. It only has to do with power and control. You notice those people that are doing that, they ain't doing it to everybody. Why has Diddy not said one thing about what's that boy? What is his name? 50 Cent. 50 Cent been out here saying shit. Why haven't Jay-Z said one thing to 50 Cent? 50 Cent put Jay-Z on a whole ass milk carton with his face and said missing. He ain't said one word. How? Because people that understand how to mind fuck, manipulate, power and control other people, they prey on certain types of people. 50 Cent just happens to be one of those type of people that I think people like Diddy and Jay-Z can't control, because he's equal. He has power and he has influence and he has money. So you ain't gonna be able to just do it to him. But I think that's if what people have said about Clive Davis is true, I think that's what Clive Davis taught Diddy. Do everything you want to do, son. Do whatever you want to do to whoever you want to do it to. You just make sure you get it on tape. I think that's another reason Diddy has been successful all these years. So I think Beyonce, Usher, I'm still trying to figure out how they can take Beyonce down. So the only thing, like I said, the only thing I can see is if she's involved in that kind of way, in like some sort of sex trafficking ring, and she is either caught in some way conspiring about it or on a tape. Because Beyonce basically has spent her whole entire career, and me and Beyonce the same age, she spent her whole entire career being a good girl, doing everything she's supposed to, staying in line. And now at this point, the only reason I think there is a real power dynamic in her relationship that's uneven and it's a detriment to her is because when's the last time we ever heard Beyonce do any type of interaction with her fans ever? When's the last time we've seen Beyonce do any type of interview? When? I think that's very intentional. You don't put her out there if you don't control it. If you don't have all control of it, if you have all control of it, let me say it like that, then you can manipulate whatever the message is. And I think Jay-Z wants to manipulate the messages, obviously. He wants to control everything. And I fear that he's probably controlling her. I hate that for her. I hate it for Blue Ivy. I hate it for her kids. And where the hell are the other two? I never see them. Where the hell are they? I don't know. I think there's a few other. I think Justin Bieber could be detrimental to the takedown of Diddy. And then what about Jay-Z? Do y'all think Foxy Brown could be detrimental to the takedown of Jay-Z? Because she said somewhere, I'm not going to be with taking down Hov. And let's sidebar. Why? I never understood why y'all calling this whole grown-ass man Hova. He's not a god, but he had made a whole song, and ever since then, he Hov, I guess. To me, drones. That's what people that are drones do. I'm not. Listen. I'm not doing that, so I can't. So anyways, oh, I think I said Al B. Sure, because I think Diddy tried to off Al B. Sure, but it just didn't work. I also think he tried to off, and I've been saying this well before he even got convicted, or not convicted, he got arrested. I've been saying that Diddy did something to Jamie Foxx, because that situation never made sense to me. Never heard of a celebrity ever being in the hospital and nobody knowing what happened to them for months. I never heard of that. You would hear at least a daughter, a niece, a son, an ex-wife, ex-girlfriend, new baby mama, old baby mama, grandma, somebody would say he's suffering from an undetermined illness and we would ask for all y'all prayers and this, that, and the third. Nobody said anything. They were like, just like the rest of the entertainment industry is right now regarding Diddy, on mute. Nobody said anything. And you have to ask yourself, why would they do that exactly? Now, people have right to their privacy. And listen, at the end of the day, Jamie Foxx don't owe us no explanation for the hell. Him, his family, nobody else. They don't owe us an explanation for what happened to him. But it's just bizarre. Just saying. And that Miami girl, what's her name? Young Miami? She might get caught up too, but I think she's probably whatever. If the feds, if they haven't already come up to her and said, listen, you better tell us everything, she gonna be the one that's telling them everything. I feel. But again, I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know none of these people. Let's get back to it.
Some other pretty disturbing claims, like that Diddy sexually assaulted him and forced Lil Rod to have sex with a prostitute. But Lil Rod's lawsuit came out swinging in more ways than one. Not only did it shed light on the dark allegations against Diddy, but it dropped some high-profile celebrity names too. First, there's Academy Award-winning actor Cuba Gooding Jr. Lil Rod alleges Diddy was, quote, grooming him to pass him off to his friends. This fear became reality when Mr. Combs introduced Mr. Jones to Cuba Gooding Jr. while they were on Mr. Combs' yacht. The lawsuit includes pictures of this too, showing both Diddy with Cuba and then Cuba with his arms around Lil Rod. Court docs go on to say, quote, Cuba Gooding Jr. began touching, groping, and fondling Mr. Jones's legs, his upper inner thighs near his groin, and the small of his back near his buttocks and his shoulders. He rejected his advances, and Mr. Gooding Jr. did not stop until Mr. Jones forcibly pushed him away. Here's former prosecutor Melba Pearson.
In the last couple of years, there were allegations against him for sexual assault. So now we had those prior allegations, and now we see him tied to this case as allegedly trying to, assault a Lil Rod, assault others.
Back in 2019, Cuba was booked on misdemeanor charges of forcible touching and sexual abuse after allegedly groping a woman in Times Square. By the next year, 3 women had come forward accusing him of non-consensual sexual touching. He eventually reached a plea deal with prosecutors that required 6 months of counseling but no jail time. Just this summer, he appeared on Dan Abrams' Live, where he discussed those charges.
You pleaded guilty to a forcible touching misdemeanor in 2022, eventually led to a guilty plea of a lesser charge. A year later, you settled a federal civil lawsuit, 2 more civil misconduct lawsuits. Can you understand why some would say, don't want to cast this guy?
Sure, but I can also understand some people who come up to me in the street all the time and yell, show me the money, and say, hang in there, and I see what you're going through. You make movies for an audience of people, right? So right now, I'm making a movie for faith-based people who are excited to renew our hope in humanity, especially the times we're in, dealing with politics and the world issues that are going on. So that's where I am now.
And have you expressed regret, sorrow, apologies for what happened previously?
Everything that happens in my life is for a reason. I believe that. And if I continue to walk on my path, whatever that is, I know at the end result, it'll be to make me stronger, to be a better person, to be a better father, and right now that's the moment I'm in.
Back to Melba. She says it's possible that charges could be brought against the actor.
I'm getting the feeling where there's smoke, there's fire, right? Because now we have 2 different instances where you're accused of the same type of behavior, years apart. I think there's something there. And I don't know that Cuba Gooding Jr. is going to escape from that one, because he already saw definitely people moving away from him within Hollywood circles and other circles once those first sexual assault allegations came out. So at this point, I don't think he's going to get away with it a second time.
Is it possible that he could face charges based on these allegations that were brought forward by Lil Rod?
It is possible as well. Again, we've got the statute of limitations issue to deal with. So depending on the time frame of when this happened is, again, the Adult Survivors Act, which was the vehicle where many of these lawsuits came out, many of these civil lawsuits, came out, there was a finite amount of time for those suits to be filed. The time frame is going to be very, very important. What witnesses come forward, because again, this may not be.
Listen, statutes of limitation boil my blood. Literally, it boils my blood, because I asked an attorney on a live. One of my he's a fellow content creator. His name is Make It Make Sense. That's his channel. And this was right after I believe this was right after the Cassie lawsuit dropped. And I went on there and I'm like, because I've worked as a social worker and a therapist, and I've heard every type of sexual assault story, every single type, from adults being sexually assaulted all the way down to 2-month-old babies being sexually assaulted. When I say I've heard it all, right? It's disgusting. It's vile. Don't get me started down that rabbit hole. But what I never understand is why there's a statute of limitation. Almost every female I've ever met in my life has been sexually assaulted at some point, whether they were children when it happened or adults when it happened, teenagers, whatever. Most everybody I know has been. And even if you take me out of it, 1 in 4 women will be sexually assaulted in their lifetime. So look around your office if you're at work or sitting in your car. Look at the people around you in the grocery store, whatever. 1 in 4 of them either has already been or will be sexually assaulted. So when I was on that live and I asked the attorney, I was like, why is there a statute of limitation? It makes no sense. If you are assaulting someone, especially in a sexual manner, that is a trauma that you're never getting away from, ever. And it has serious, I would say, what's the right term for it? Oh, there's a term for it that I can't remember right now. It'll come to me. But basically, it's after the fact trauma, right? So it's sort of like they use this term a lot with like people who are in the army or the armed forces, and they come back post-traumatic stress. Excuse me. There's a ton of post-traumatic stress as a result of that. And the attorney, I said, why do we even have it? It doesn't even make sense. You've made a law to silence the victims or put restrictions on the victim. How is that logical? You have victimized me, yet the law says I'm the person that has limits. How? And he said, because we can't have people, and he kind of said it jokingly. It was like, we can't have people who are gonna, in 10 years or 15 years or 20 years down the road, they've gotten their life, whatever, right? They got their whole life together. And we can't have them coming back 30 years later ruining these people's lives. That's why it's there. And I'm like, well, that makes absolutely no sense. But I mean, it makes sense when you think about it. Who was in the room when they were making all these laws? It wasn't women. Be clear. And I'm not saying that only women are victims, but I'm simply saying we are most of the times the ones that report it when we report it. And most victims don't report it. The information, the statistics we have available are for the heroes, the people that actually had enough, what's the right word? Strength, courage, whatever, to do it. I'm battling right now. I've been battling for some years. Someone did it to me that's happened to me. Sexual assault has happened to me a few times in my life. And I remember some years ago, I had gotten up the strength and I told my husband, I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to call the police and I'm going to say it. And, and I just remember I didn't even think they were going to come to my house, but they sent a cop to my house immediately. I was like, oh my God. They sent a cop to my house immediately. I didn't expect that. And basically when I told him, he was like, yeah, 20 years ago when it happened, because it happened when I was a child multiple times. Yeah, you're past the statute of limitation. And I already knew that because, like I said, I've written many papers on like sex trafficking and stuff like that. So I understand how it works. And I worked for child protective services, adult protective services. So I understand that there are laws there, but it doesn't make any sense. And I just remember being so heartbroken because of how long it takes you to finally be like, I'm going to stand in my truth. I'm not going to be intimidated, whatever. And it's hard. And it was more heartbreaking. It was like, it took all of me to get myself together, the courage to say, I'm going to tell the police. And then for them to just basically say, yeah, there's nothing you can do unless saying like that maybe saying they did and they apologize, something like that, then maybe. But in certain states, you have to tell the person that they're on tape for it to be admissible in court. You have to tell them that they're being recorded for it to be admissible in court. And who is going to say, yes, I sexually assaulted whoever as a child, first of all, and then certainly who's going to say it when you tell them they're going to be recorded? Nobody. They're not going to incriminate themselves. That's why you have the Fifth Amendment, to protect you from incriminating yourself. They're not going to do it. And it just broke my heart. But then the other night, I was thinking to myself, because again, I'm in this Diddy vortex of all of this stuff that happens in America concerning him. And I thought to myself, the Southern District of New York did it. They opened it back up. So why can't every other state open? And then why do we need to close it? You see what happened when so many people felt like, okay, Cassie did it, so now I can maybe have an opportunity to talk about and expose what happened to me as a kid or as an adult or whatever. And people try to shame them. People say, why didn't they come out? Because of this exact reason. People want to shame them and tell them they're lying and they just want money and clout and whatever else. When in reality, if you know anyone or if you are one of those people who have been sexually assaulted like I have, if you know anyone like that, talk to them. Ask them how easy it is. If you know that and they've already told you, I'm saying like that. Don't like try to force it out on anybody. But ask them, did they tell? My guess is most of them did not. People are scared. Why are people scared? People think that the person that sexually assaults you is going to tell you, well, now you just keep this between us. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but I'm saying what else happens is I will kill you and your mama. Be clear. I'm certain that's what Diddy was probably telling Cassie. Or the gaslighting of it all will be, I'm gonna kill myself. Knock it off. If you ever in a relationship, this is my opinion. If you ever in a relationship with someone telling you something like that, run. Don't believe it because they're not going to do it. They're not going to. They're telling you that to manipulate you and to think, oh, he loves me so much. He's going to. No, he doesn't. It's power and control. That's what that's about. So, but anyway, ask them if they've shared with you, why didn't they tell? And then just listen. Don't tell them anything. Just listen. See what they tell you. I can guarantee you it's probably going to have something to do with, I didn't think anyone would believe me. I did tell my mom or my dad. They didn't believe me. I was scared. I was in fear. That person still came around after I told. Because Uncle Junebug, they still let him come to the cookout. After he didn't molested, rape, whatever it is, your daughter, they niece or whoever. Because people don't want to believe it in their own family. And even though they know it's happening in their own family, they don't want to believe it when the superstar does it. How many people still riding for R. Kelly and Bill Cosby because supposedly they buying? Stop it. Like, knock it off. Use your brain. Again, we're going to use our brain. We use both sides of our brain on, it's reality. I'm just saying. But it's like, girl, knock it off. They still don't believe R. Kelly. They still don't believe R. Kelly did it to all those women. He couldn't have done it to. Be clear. That man was raping Aaliyah she was 12 when she met him. You don't think he could have done it? Stop it. Have you heard him say he didn't do anything to Aaliyah? Go watch his interview. What that lady asked him in his interview? I think it was a guy asked him in the interview. He was like, do you date younger women or something like that, or younger teenagers? And his response was something like, when you say young, like basically like define young. He didn't use those words, but that's basically what he's saying. You should be dating underage girls, period. But here we are. So they still don't believe the girls that, or the women from the R. Kelly surviving R. Kelly thing. But the daughter said he did it to her too. I can promise you. There's somebody somewhere saying the reason the daughter's saying that is because he cut her out of the wheel. Or she wants the money and he won't give it to her, because we can't, for whatever reason, use our brain and say everybody, including his daughter, ain't fucking lying all the time. But people, listen, they would prefer to put their head in the sand than to believe so that people are really doing this type of stuff. So this is interesting. I don't know if y'all watched that video. The young lady, oh, I forget her name. She's the second part to that Dirty Money duo. The one that Dawn named in her lawsuit against Diddy. So the other young lady, she said some really graphic things in that video that she did with, I forget who the name, but it's out there. I think I'll link it in the subscription. But she said that, and I'm paraphrasing, but she said when she was 18 months old, she didn't find this out until she was like 16. She said her grandmother told her, I believe. And I'm paraphrasing, but essentially she said that one of her aunts or somebody walked in on her uncle raping a 3-year-old, like in the throes of doing it, didn't stop, got the baby. Somehow they got the baby out of there. I think the baby is a little girl, if I'm not mistaken. And then brought the baby downstairs, I guess, or wherever, and prayed over the baby, prayed that the baby wouldn't have the sexual. I could be saying this wrong, but I'm almost certain she said they brought the baby and prayed over the baby to get the sexual demons out of the baby or something like that. And I'm like, shouldn't we be praying over first of all, let's call 911. Let's report this mofo. Okay. That's number one. Number two, shouldn't we be praying over him? If we're going to be praying over anybody with a demon, it's certainly not the 3-year-old. So that's why I say you don't even believe, you're not even doing the right thing at home. So why does anyone expect you to not believe Diddy? Of course, Diddy didn't do it in their mind. I do believe in the Constitution and what it says about, having the right to, be looked at as innocent until someone can prove that you're guilty. But I really do look at it more from the standpoint of like, you should have an opportunity to prove your innocence rather than you're just automatically innocent unless someone can prove it. Because we know that there's tons of people who are innocent and still get railroaded. Or people who we know clearly are guilty. We know that they're guilty. Everything points to it. But the state didn't do a good enough job of proving it. It's the reason people like Epstein, remember him? Jeffrey, come to the front. Remember him? It's the reason why Jeffrey Epstein could have thousands of, or at least hundreds of underage young ladies that he sexually assaulted and walk away time after time again. And when they finally caught him, they charged him with soliciting prostitution. Now you listen, like I said, I'm nobody's dummy, but you explain it to me. Explain to me how these women have gone on tape and said this man raped me or he molested me or whatever it is, he sexually assaulted me, and y'all charge him with soliciting prostitution. How the fuck are you soliciting prostitution from someone who's not a prostitute? Someone you're sexually assaulting, how are you listing them? How are you being charged with that? And then one of the news anchors who's supposed to be a journalist, she's one of the Asian ones. I hate to say it that way, but you have like Julie Chen and like maybe 2 or 3 others that are like mainstream ones that I can't remember their names right now. But one of them was like a former prostitute in the Jeffrey Epstein case. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? That's so fucking irresponsible. It's like a leading question. It's like asking a 3-year-old, did you see daddy do something wrong? You're only giving them, first of all, it's a closed question because you're only giving them the right to say yes or no. But you are implying that daddy's done something wrong. I don't want to get daddy in trouble, so no, he didn't do anything wrong. You know what I mean? That's what it's like. It's like you're being so irresponsible. So even if the girls or the young ladies, even if all of them are telling the truth, you've already told the audience that they're prostitutes and they're not to be trusted. Because who could trust a prostitute, right? It's just, it's asinine to me. But that's the world we live in. Let's shoot that person's credibility all the way down. That's why when Diddy got charged, well, no, I take that back. Before he got charged, that's exactly, he used all of those buzzwords that he knows that people that are either A, perpetrators, or B, want to protect perpetrators, right? We're gonna use or buzzwords that they're gonna. It's like a red meat to the dog. So it's like, these people who are just looking for a money grab and they just want their 15 minutes of fame. All of those are like buzzwords that they use to get their base riled up and to be saying these people are all lying. They don't have anything. They're broken. They don't have any money, and that's why they're making this. So then again, explain how do you explain all the women that are. If this is so far and few and in between, and it never happens, and then when it does, it only happens to women who are broke and trying to get something from someone. Why do we need a Violence Against Women Act? Why do we need that? If it's only these few women that, they ain't got nothing, and they just trying to get over. Why we need a Violence Against Women Act? We need a Violence Against Women Act because we know that there's overabundance of violence against women, sexual and otherwise. That's why. So we need this act. We need all the money funneled into it. Something that's not even happening? Of course not. Of course that is 100% happening. Of course Diddy's lying, in my opinion, allegedly. Anyway, let's get back to this Cuba. I just went off on a tangent. Sorry.
Be a situation where DNA may be at play. This may be more of a situation of, hey, yes, I was there and I recall, Cuba Gooding Jr., putting his hands on Lil Rod, or I recall certain aspects. So it's going to be a very witness intensive type of case. And the question is, will the witnesses be willing to come forward?
Another high profile name listed in Lil Rod's lawsuit is Jennifer Lopez.
From the standpoint of the names of the celebrities that were tied to this, the fact that Jennifer Lopez was tied to this back when she was involved in or party to a shooting at a nightclub when she was dating Diddy, and is now alleged to have brought the gun with her to the scene and gave it to Diddy, and that's how the shooting occurred.
Lil Rod's team brings up J-Lo when establishing Diddy's history, writing his, quote, RICO enterprise has existed for at least 20 years, dating back to the 1999 nightclub shooting in NYC, when Mr. Combs required his then-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez to transport his illegal firearm into the NYC nightclub. The court docs also allege Diddy forced his then artist Shine to assume responsibility for the shooting of several individuals. The shooting happened on December 27th, 1999 at about 2:55 a.m. A fight broke out at a nightclub in New York City between Diddy, Jamal Barrow, who's known as the rapper Shine, and Matthew Allen, who went by the nickname Scar. Guns were drawn and 3 people were shot. No one suffered any life-threatening injuries, and the victims were not involved in the fight. J-Lo and Diddy fled from the scene in a car, but were later arrested and charged. J-Lo's charges were dropped, but the others stuck. Diddy was acquitted, but Shine was sentenced to 10 years in prison. He was released in 2009 and deported back to his home country of Belize. Lil Rod alleges it was Diddy who pulled the trigger, and Shine just took the fall for him. Because of this allegation, experts like former FBI agent Bobby Chacon say investigators could take a second look at the shooting. If there's a civil lawsuit that lays out this major allegation, what would it take to reopen an investigation into something that happened 25 years ago?
Well, it would take a different look at it. So in other words, he was acquitted on the state murder charges. Now, federal charges can be different. You can have RICO, you can have a continuing criminal enterprise, you can have, so the underlying acts, the predicate acts, if we used to call them when I worked RICO cases, a RICO predicate act could be something like that 1999 case, and you can use it as a predicate act. You can bring it up. You can, when I worked cold cases of this type, sometimes with the passage of time, people aren't as intimidated and they're not as threatened, and they get away from the person who was the threat, and they feel more forthcoming to testify or to give statements in lieu of testimony. But certainly, I think that that case is going to be part of it. In the aftermath of that, they have witnesses that say he bragged about intimidating witnesses, paying off jurors. Certainly, when you have that kind of stuff, if you go back and you find that juror that was paid off, or jurors, multiple, that may have been paid off, certainly that gives you the impetus to kind of come forward and refresh those charges on a federal case. So the federal cases will be a little different. The charges are a little different, so it's not double jeopardy. And so I think that case that you mentioned, that you cite, I think is certainly one of the ones they're looking to build into a much bigger, to me, maybe a RICO type case.
We also know that federal investigators have spoken to other plaintiffs in civil cases against Diddy to learn more about his personality and what he's like in relationships. That means J-Lo is someone the feds will want to talk to if they haven't already. It also means she could be called to testify against him.
It's possible. It's absolutely possible. If I was the prosecutor handling that case, I absolutely would list her, right? But of course, we need to know whether or not she'd be cooperative. That, of course, changes the strategy when it comes to trial. So you may list someone as a potential witness. That does not mean you're necessarily going to call them. The question is whether or not their testimony is really going to help you. But there is a universe where she could testify against him in terms of, violence, in terms of his interactions with other artists, especially the folks that have been coming forward alleging that he has harmed them in some way or engaged in, human trafficking and sex trafficking. So was she aware of any of that going?
So I don't think on any day of the week, J-Lo is going to say anything freely or out the goodness of her heart. I don't think that, because J-Lo's had 20 plus years to say something. She's not going to do anything, in my opinion, to incriminate herself. I don't think she's willing to do that. She's not, I don't think she's the type of person that would be willing to compromise, not necessarily her celebrity or her stardom per se, but I think it's the same reason she left immediately with Diddy and cut him off and never really, is because I don't think she'd be willing to ruin her reputation. I think the money, the glitz, the glam, all that she could probably do without, because she could probably rebuild it. But I think she wouldn't want to be, much like Jay-Z and Beyonce don't want to be caught up in all of that. That's probably why she's mad right now. But anyway, I think J-Lo would not be willing to compromise her reputation. And so unless the Southern District of New York or whoever the feds are at the time, if they decide to pull her into their case against Diddy, there would have to be one or two things that are going to happen. Either A, she's going to get complete immunity of whatever her past crimes may or may not have been, allegedly, and or the case would have to be presented in a way that makes the audience believe J-Lo didn't have a choice. Like she was a victim of Sean P. Diddy Combs as well. So that she doesn't, again, ruin her reputation. Now, people are going to still say something. I'm like, well, she should have said something, because that's the same thing they do to victims. But I think that's the only way she would be willing to say anything or listen to any of that. Or she would have to be summoned. And then if she was summoned to do it and the judge ordered her to do it, she probably would just invoke her Fifth Amendment right. That's my opinion, but let's keep watching.
Going on? Did she see him with underage girls, or was she present for when some of those videos were taken that Little Rod included screenshots of those videos in his pleadings? So how much of that did she know? When did she know it? And what actions did she take at the time? Is that part of the reason why they broke up? We don't know. So all of this will remain to be seen. Obviously, the prosecution and law enforcement need to speak with her, get a statement from her to understand what she knows or what she could be able to testify to, and then make appropriate decisions from there.
But it's not just artists that Lil Rod named either. He specifically mentioned Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, in court docs. It reads in part, quote, Mr. Combs was known for throwing the best parties. Affiliation with and or sponsorship of Mr. Combs' sex trafficking parties garner legitimacy and access to celebrities, such as famous athletes, political figures, artists, musicians, and international dignitaries like British royal Prince Harry. Why even name Prince Harry? There's no allegations against him or anything, but why bring him up?
I know why.
I think it may have been a move to bring more credibility to the filing and say that, you know, basically he being Diddy, was using his fame, fortune, and influence to insulate himself.
Right.
So he was able to legitimize some of the activities he was doing by having these lavish parties, bringing all these A-list celebrities, but somewhere in a back room or somewhere in another wing, you know, horrible things were happening. So the fact that Prince Harry was there does not necessarily mean he was participating in what was happening. And just because you were at a party doesn't mean you know what's happening in every inch of the house. I mean, if you think about it, if the party's being thrown in a mansion, there are various floors and wings. So it is completely possible that he was there and did not participate. Now, if you had said Prince Andrew, especially as a result of the allegations that came out in connection with the Epstein case, that they were close and that they traveled together, and you know there was a person that alleged that he had sexually assaulted her while she was underage, that would be a different story. But Prince Harry and the way that it was mentioned seemed to be very, again, just sort of trying to bring legitimacy and talk about these were the people that Diddy surrounded himself by to protect himself.
Prince Harry has no criminal charges or even any accusations of illegal activity, but he could still see the inside of a courtroom in a defamation case.
It's possible that Prince Harry may be able to preserve his reputation. And since it was such a minuscule mention in the greater context of this filing, he may be okay.
Another celebrity mentioned in Lil Rod's lawsuit is Young Miami, who dated Diddy from 2021 to 2023. According to the lawsuit, Young Miami's cousin assaulted Lil Rod during the Thanksgiving holiday in 2022. It reads, quote, Young Miami's cousin burst into the bathroom and began groping Mr. Jones. She started undressing and attempted to straddle him and have sex with him in the presence of Mr. Combs and his staff. Similar to Prince Harry, there are no allegations against Young Miami herself, so there's probably no worry of charges being filed against her. But there could be charges against some of the other people listed in Lil Rod's lawsuit. That's people like Diddy's chief of staff, Christina Coram, who Lil Rod compares to Ghislaine Maxwell, the longtime companion of Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein died by suicide in 2019 when he faced numerous charges of sexual assault over the course of multiple years. Maxwell was charged and found guilty of sex trafficking in relation to her time with Epstein, and she's currently serving a lengthy prison sentence. Lil Rod says Christina Coram ordered sex workers and prostitutes for Mr. Combs and ordered and distributed ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, marijuana, and mushrooms to Mr. Combs and his celebrity guests who were present on his rented yacht and his homes in LA, NYC, and Miami. This is referenced in Diddy's indictment too, saying members and associates of the Combs enterprise, including high-ranking supervisors, security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and other Combs business employees, facilitated the freak-offs by, among other things, booking hotel rooms for the freak-offs, stocking the hotel rooms in advance with the required freak-off supplies, including controlled substances, baby oil, lubricant, extra linens, and lighting. Federal prosecutors also allege these associates arranged travel for victims and commercial sex workers, delivered large sums of cash to Diddy to pay these sex workers, and even scheduled the delivery of IV.
So she was about to say IV injections and things like that. So it's like, you know how you have an IV drip, you go to the ER if you are dehydrated. A lot of times you'll get an IV drip and it makes you feel better. It really does. And my question is, who is delivering? So all the other stuff is ancillary, right? The baby oil, that's bad because we know what it was used for. But all the other stuff, the sheets and this, that, and the third, even the drugs on some level, to me, is ancillary. It's not in the sense of like, if these were drugs given to people forcefully, meaning not of their own fruition, then yes, it's a complicated scenario on its own. But my thing is, who are we allowing to put needles into these people's arms? Shouldn't they be licensed? I'm guessing you have to have a licensed nurse or a doctor. Somebody with a license need to be in there. And of course, if that's the case, who has a license to do that? It feels very much like they're ignoring it, but it feels like the guy that went to jail for unaliving Michael Jackson, remember the guy that was giving him propofol or whatever, which is a anesthetic. So basically, it's like one of those anesthesiologist medicine, or a medicine that anesthesiologists use. It's anesthesia. It's general anesthesia. It puts you under. So you don't remember nothing. Okay. If that was what was being used, then that's why they required that doctor. That's why he went to jail. I mean, outside of whatever he may or may not have done and whatever they found him guilty of. But to me, that's what that's how they're gonna get. Because my thing is, again, what license? You have to have some sort of license. You can't just be walking around America sticking needles in people and putting whatever fluid in them. You have to be able to have a way to order that fluid. Where's it coming from? You have to say who is it for? What doctor's office is it going to? You can't even just order that stuff they put, like when you go to the doctor and you have to get, to the dentist and you have to get like fillings or whatever it is, those shots they put in your mouth, they have to request that. It goes into a log, no different than when you get a prescription to go get hydrocodone, or if you have surgery, maybe Tylenol 3 or whatever it is, you have to have a doctor prescribe that. They're not just handing out the hydrocodone at the local pharmacy. So who is prescribing these things to these people? If that's what happened, allegedly. Let's keep moving. Let's keep going.
Fluids. So according to Melba, it's possible some of these associates are charged too.
None of these cases, when you have these high profile people that have been using people over years, these cases happen without a handler. R. Kelly had a handler, Epstein had a handler, Weinstein had a handler. Everybody has, in those scenarios of those powerful people, powerful men that are abusing other people, they have someone that does their dirty work.
Right.
And it's usually not only just one person, it's several people who may have different duties. So again, seeing this woman being his handler, being the person to get him drugs, being the person to procure sex workers for him, being the person to basically be on cleanup duty in case of, covering up or silencing people that might want to come forward. Right. That's not unusual. And she is also going to bear the brunt of criminal liability, just like Ghislaine Maxwell did, and basically had to take the entire brunt of the criminal justice system alone because of the fact that, Epstein committed suicide and was not able to be held accountable.
And we can't talk about Diddy without mentioning Cassie, the one whose lawsuit blew the lid off Diddy's alleged scheme. She filed civil suit against Diddy last November under the New York Survivor Act, meaning any sexual assault survivor could file suit against their accused predator, and the statute of limitations didn't matter. Cassie's lawsuit was settled just one day after it was filed, but it was still made public, dropping a laundry list of bombshells about Diddy that the public hadn't previously heard. Cassie's lawsuit outlined years of abuse by Diddy, starting when she was just 19 years old, and at the time, he was 37. According to her suit, Diddy was prone to uncontrollable rage and frequently beat Cassie savagely. Cassie alleged Diddy forced her to use drugs and would physically beat her, rape her, or force her to have sex with prostitutes. Then there's the gun allegation that on at least 2 occasions, Diddy demanded Cassie hold his gun in her purse. The lawsuit goes on to state, quote, "There was no clear reason why Mr. Combs required her to hold his guns, except to reinforce to his young girlfriend that he was violent, powerful, and dangerous." This echoes a similar allegation made by Lil Rod about Jennifer Lopez's part in the 1999 New York nightclub shooting.
Not only did Jennifer Lopez allegedly bring the gun to the club, now we're also looking at years later, Cassie coming forward and saying that Diddy forced her to carry a gun with her when they went out to different events. So again, I think that this is more along the lines of, when you look at this from a domestic violence lens, from the standpoint of the abuser being very controlling and demanding certain activities to prove loyalty, to basically put yourself in a bad situation where only he can be the one to save you, basically. So in seeing that, the parallels between J-Lo's experience and Cassie's experience, number one, it brings more credibility to what Cassie said in her pleadings, but also, again, it causes us to look at Jennifer Lopez and be like, some of the comments she made about the end of her relationship to Diddy, in terms of, well, there was infidelity, and she kind of skirted the issue a bit. But when you start to look back at her comments, you start to think, ooh, were you in a domestic violence relationship with Diddy, much like how Cassie ended up in a domestic violence relationship with him?
Cassie kind of broke the floodgates, so to speak, when she made her civil suit back in November. These crazy allegations, we'd never heard anything like it before.
So I'm gonna stop it there because we're going on an hour and 30 minutes. But I wish we would stop calling it domestic violence, because I feel like that sugarcoats what it really is. It's assault, physical assault, and it's egregious, period. So that's what we need to call it. We need to call it assault and stop calling it domestic violence, because I feel like we call it domestic violence. Oh, okay. Give me 1 second. Where? Oh my God. Okay. Gotta go, guys. Again, listen. Thanks for tuning in to Chanel's Reality. I have a phone call that's very important I have to get to. If you haven't already, please hit the like button, the subscribe button, hit all my notification buttons. And thank you so much for tuning in to Chanel's Reality. Until next time, you guys have a good day. Bye.